The time for a post-Brexit deal is running out, but progress in the negotiations between the EU and the UK is a long time coming. But what are the sticking points in the talks? What is the current status of the negotiations? The points of contention still predominate. While the EU insists on a level playing field, including data protection, social and environmental standards, in return for unlimited duty-free movement of goods, Great Britain insists on its sovereignty. Most recently, however, the access to British waters and the regulations on state subsidies in particular caused a dispute. Great Britain wants to limit the catch quotas for EU fishing in order to protect its own fishermen. France in particular is stubbornly resisting. At the beginning of October, the British government announced a transition phase of 3 years, during which the fishing quotas for fishermen from EU countries could slowly be reduced. The UK is less lenient in dealing with government subsidies. Contrary to the European demand for strict anti-dumping rules, the Single Market Act, recently passed by the House of Commons, provides that Great Britain can grant subsidies at its own discretion and without consulting the EU. But what role does the Internal Market Bill play in the negotiations? The law has sparked the already difficult negotiations. Specifically, it is about the long controversial role of Northern Ireland. In the Brexit agreement, the withdrawal agreement, the government in London agreed that Northern Ireland would remain in a customs union with the EU. There, the rules of the EU internal market apply to a free trade agreement. The British Single Market Act, however, provides that all 4 nations of the United Kingdom belong to a single market. The law thus nullifies part of the Brexit agreement and thus creates a hard customs border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Prime Minister Boris Johnson openly admits that his administration is not complying with international agreements. The EU fears a resurgence of the Northern Ireland conflict and associated political unrest. Great Britain ignored a deadline to withdraw the relevant clauses. Now the EU is examining legal steps that could result in fines for the UK. The first step was taken by EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen with sending the first letter. If Great Britain insists on the Single Market Act and if that is confirmed unchanged by the House of Lords, the country is breaking international law. But what are the motivations behind the UK government's behaviour? The agreement made in the Brexit Treaty could lead to Northern Ireland being decoupled from the UK. Johnson absolutely wants to avoid that. The Internal Market Bill also has a high priority domestically. Great Britain would no longer have to take European competition law into account and could promote its own economy with subsidies or low tax rates. That strengthens the economy and secures jobs, so the strategy of the Conservative government. Chief Advisor Dominic Cummings sees government subsidies as a symbol of British sovereignty and the key to strengthening the British technology sector as a new pillar of the future economy. For Cummings, this has a higher priority than the Brexit deal, as the Financial Times reports, citing government circles. And it's no wonder. For Cummings, there are much high priorities nobody probably understands. Okay, the right wing of the Conservative Tories also sees the economic consequences of a hard Brexit as significantly weaker than the corona pandemic and puts Johnson under additional pressure, especially the ERG. How high is the risk of a hard Brexit? As long as there is no agreement on both sides, the risk of a hard Brexit remains and the chances are rising day by day. Boris Johnson and EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen jointly asserted last week Saturday that they would seek an agreement if at all possible. On last week Sunday, however, Johnson told the British broadcaster BBC that one could more than live with a hard Brexit. The EU must understand that Britain is extremely serious about the need to control our own laws and regulations, Johnson said. However, a hard Brexit also entails considerable economic costs. According to a study by the London School of Economics, a hard Brexit would cost the EU That's something that always happens in there. Of course, would cost the UK 6% economic growth, while the corona pandemic would just cost 2%. A trade agreement could mitigate the severe losses caused by the corona pandemic. But how do trade relations change if no agreement is reached until the end of the year? Elapsed deadlines and extensions around Brexit are almost a tradition now. However, Brussels has made it clear several times that nothing will change at the end of the so-called transition phase on December 31st if they get what they want. Otherwise, the regulations of the World Trade Organization, the WTO, apply in the event of a hard Brexit. All imports between the UK and the EU would therefore be subject to customs duties, including the associated paperwork. Long lines at the borders are likely. The British Brexit Minister Michael Gove is already expecting a traffic jam of up to 7,000 trucks at the border in Dover. That would, in turn, affect prices. The question of the validity of licenses and professional qualifications is still open. Transitional regulations from the EU are already expected for key sectors. And if you now want to know more about European or global politics, there's the subscribe button for my channel. If you press it, you'll see more in the future. If you want to see something else right now, YouTube has chosen another of my videos right here for you on the end screen. I'll see you in my next video. Click and enjoy. Viel Spaß!